Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. Our big focus on the broadcast. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has today lauded the role of innovation, integrity and inclusion in the field of management, terming them as key mantras as he laid the foundation stone of the new campus of the Indian Institute of Management in Odisha's Sambalpur. In his virtual address, the Prime Minister spoke of the growing startup culture in the country and how graduates from management institutes can help take them to new heights. He further pitched in that IIMs could act as a bridge between local products and global collaborations, as innovation, integrity and inclusiveness are the mantras. Joining us at this point is Dr. Gulrez Sheikh, leader of the BJP. Professor Yamini Agarwal, economist, is also joining us live. Sumit Peer, political commentator and entrepreneur, is also live with us on the broadcast. Let me bring you in here first, Sumit. How do you view these comments made by the Prime Minister? And as we start a new year, do you believe that these comments will provide new energy to India's entrepreneurs, to make in India, to start up India, and to help get India back to the high pre-COVID growth levels?
Uday, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. I want to take this opportunity to wish you Happy New Year, all at NewsX and on the millions of viewers who are watching this telecast. And I hope New Year is full of health, wealth and prosperity, and we are over with the COVID. The vaccine being launched is the first right step, first right omen. Compliment the government for that. Now, coming back to the discussion, sir. If you look at this, I heard the complete speech of Honorable Prime Minister. It is a path-breaking or a path-changing speech. Because I'll highlight a couple of points. First thing he carefully said, there was a time there were only a handful of IIMs. Now, the number of IIMs and IITs have almost doubled. And when I was at the age of IIMs and IITs, there were only 4 IITs and 4 IIMs in India. If you get through them, good luck, else, fly kite. Now, it has come to 20. So the first thing which Prime Minister said, the IITs and IIMs are going to increase, that they are not going to be limited by number. Point number 2, he made a very important point. He said the business of IITs or IIMs, let's talk IIMs in specific, is to encash or may work on the opportunity management, not to run the bigger companies. The perception has been you do your IIM, you will go for an Apple, you will go for a Google or a Facebook and do a job there. Now he says, look, my vision is to create opportunities. Then the point number 3, he talks about Sambalpur. And very brilliantly, having tracked Prime Minister Modi for years now, very brilliantly, he means something and he talks something and something he doesn't mention. He talked about startups. This time he was not mentioning IT. The first conception is gone. Startup is only about IT, and minus IT it cannot be a startup. He talked agriculture, he talked tourism, he talked space, he talked mining, he talked handicrafts, he talked music, he talked all the things which are available in the Sambalpur, in the Odisha. They all have to be made global. Local ko global banana, that is the new mantra, not local to vocal to high, but local to global. And the job of these IIMs and the young, our friends who are a part of that, is to make them global. This is the new mantra, and he brilliantly brought out the COVID management. No masks, no PPEs, nothing at the first day. But by the end, millions of masks, millions of PPEs per day, self-sufficient, permanent solution. He also stressed the need of permanent solution. We are not depending on a vaccine which will be imported from somewhere in the world. We have our own vaccines. We are not importing PPEs, we have our own PPEs. Then he talked about the gas, Uday. Brilliant. In 60 years, 14 crore gas connections. In next 6 years, double of that, 28 crores. And he talked about how did the shipping, pipelining, dealers, distributor, how all that worked together. He was appealing the youth of the country. Look, this is what we have done. And this is possibly what you can do. Why do we only think of IT? Why do we only think of IT? Our unicorns, our MNCs can be in every field. And there are some things where we have economy of scale advantage. And this is a 200-acre campus, Uday. 200-acre campus. 49% are the girls. Highest number of female, students in this campus. And around campus are a lot of premium institutes, wherein you have a lot of training grounds, SMEs and all. So there's a working lab which is available around the campus. So Modiji's vision is very clear. I am going to increase the number of IITs in every nook and corner of the country. And you, as the young Indians, are going to make everything what we produce in those nooks and corners of the country global, local to global. This is the new mantra, Uday. Back to you.
Absolutely. Well, certainly hope for this mantra to enthuse the population of our country, especially the youth. But Gulrez Sheikh, what, as a representative of the BJP on the panel today, what is the, the government's outlook towards education, towards entrepreneurship, and how will you further enthuse these sectors in 2021?
See, Uday, Mr. Narendra Modi ji is a visionary leader, and under his leadership, you see from the day one, right from his tenure in Gujarat to his tenure in Delhi, he is trying to promote and he is working hard and he is succeeding in that, in promoting the youth of this country to start for startups, to be leaders and to become the people who give job, not who ask for jobs. And that is the message he is delivering to the masses. And here he was talking to whom? He was talking to those gurus who carve out the future leaders of our business industry, who carve out the future gurus of our business industry, and any institution, a premium institution like the one he laid foundation of. Whenever it comes to in any area, it automatically makes that area a global phenomenon, because then many other foreign companies comes, then foreign universities come, so that area already got the spotlight, and Prime Minister himself shared a spotlight, because that area is full of resources, both natural resources and humankind resources as well. So but still that area is not very prosperous. So Prime Minister wants that those areas of the country who are lagging behind must come in front. And now when the business gurus and business leaders of our country will be carved out in that IIM, those students will also be having a vision for the local stuff, that what is available and which they can prosper ahead themselves also, and also other people and the locality. So Prime Minister is giving a message that be very vocal for your local and also take your local to global.
Correct.
Okay. Let me also bring in at this point Kapil Kanungo, gold medalist in fact IIM Indore alumni. He's currently based in London. Kapil, welcome to the show. You know, your comments on today's message from the Prime Minister, being of course an alumni of IIM as well. This is a new IIM that is going to be established in Sambhalpur in Odisha. So how do you view this? Firstly, the expansion of IIM to the lengths and breadths of the country, in Odisha also, which is of course a developing state. Do you believe that this will further harness India's talent? And how do you react to the message that the PM sent out, Kapil?
Sure. Thank you very much for having me, first of all. And I think fully resonate with some of the other panelists as well. So on your point on a new IIM being established in the country, absolutely. I think we often hear how IIMs are some of the most competitive universities to get into in India. 2.5 lakh students every year sit for an examination. We've got 3,500 seats. So you're talking about a conversion rate of 1.5%. Now, it's not an apples to apples comparison in any way, but if you look at some of the Ivy League universities like the Harvard or the Stanford of the world, we're looking at a conversion rate of 4.5%. So clearly, I think there's a dearth of there's a lack of supply in terms of the number of seats, and we definitely, I think, need to expand to be able to cater to the large population and students that we have. So definitely, I'd say a step in the right direction. Also a step in the right direction in terms of creating some of the new IIMs in places where traditionally people would have not gone, so like Sambhalpur, Kashipur, and so on, because if you want to really develop the locality of an area, you can't do it unless you have it in say places which are not touched by traditional institutions. I come from a place called Jodhpur in India, where and I've firsthand seen after NLS came in and after so there's NLS National Law University actually, there's AIMS, and now there's an IIT, and the kind of development that's happened in the city because of some of these institutions. So certainly I would say a step in the positive direction. I think Mr. Peer made a very interesting point, and so did Mr. Sheikh, on startups are not just about IT and also about international exposure. And I think both of these things are something that you learn when you're an IIM. So India's startup story, if you look at it closely, is not just about IT anymore. I mean, there's certainly a tech angle, but we're moving away from pure IT to now thinking about solutions in agri-tech, in ed-tech, in health tech, in fintech. In fintech, India has a success story. The world looks up to us as a fintech leader. And now the challenge for us is, can we replicate that story in some of the other technologies such as health tech and ed tech and so on. And Mr. Sheikh made an interesting point around international exposure. I was lucky from my college to have gone to France to study as a French government scholar. And the kind of opportunity I got at that young age was able to expose me to international students, to understand also like the cross-cultural angle, which is really important if you're looking to serve a global community.
Okay, and Kapil, as far as, of course, now the entrepreneurs are concerned, I have to ask you: are you also an entrepreneur by any chance? In terms of Indian entrepreneurs, I'm sure many of your friends are entrepreneurs back home here. What is the infrastructure and the support that they need, and are they being provided it by the government currently? What more needs to be done for the entrepreneurs of India so that they can start up in India and make in India, as the Prime Minister has been wanting to do for so long? And also with this Go Vocal for Local slogan now, perhaps it's time for citizens also to support homegrown startups and homegrown ventures further.
Yeah, I wish I could say yes to your question on am I an entrepreneur. Unfortunately, I'm not. But I keenly follow the Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem. A bunch of my friends are entrepreneurs themselves. And really, it's an area of interest for me. I'd love to come back to India to start something, hopefully sooner rather than later. With that said, I think so there are a couple of things that are happening in the ecosystem already, which is the incubation support that comes from within colleges and outside. So within colleges, I know a bunch of IIMs have now started deferred placement systems. What that means is that after graduation, students can take a year off to do a startup, and if the startup fails, which inevitably happens sometimes even with the best of intentions, they can come back to get a job, and that reduces pressure for the student fraternity. That said, I think the scope for the government is to replicate some of the stories that we've seen in some sectors and some of the other sectors. So one example that comes to my mind is that of National Payments Commission of India, NPCI. So since NPCI was set up, we've seen India's fintech story grow. So right from savings to insurance to payments to UPI, which is a great innovation. We've seen how India's fintech story has grown. Now, can we have some kind of support mechanisms, institutions like NPCI built for specific sectors? Three sectors to me jump out. There's health tech, there is ed tech, and there is agri-tech. But I think India has the scope to provide tailored support really to startups, provide them a regulatory sandbox approach when needed, so that you can bring innovators together to hackathons of sorts, see if products can scale, and then take them really to a global audience. Because clearly, I think these are opportunities where there's a large market abroad, which is willing to tap into healthcare services for India or education services in India and so on.
Okay, let me get in Yamini Agarwal at this point. Professor Agarwal, it's the start of a new year. It's right at the beginning of 2021 that we're hearing from the Prime Minister on the economy, on his message for startups and entrepreneurs. It's also a great an auspicious occasion for students, as there's yet another institution that's coming up that, of course, we hope will be an institute of excellence in the near future. It's been a tough 2020 for the world's economy, but also for India's. How do you see the Prime Minister's message really for students, for young entrepreneurs, and for corporates in general today?
I think the PM has always been very straightforward and direct in terms of his message to strengthen the overall economy through the startups and indigenous innovations. If you look at the manner in which the economy has been able to raise its levels in the ease of doing business to the 63rd level from 142 level in 2014, about 79 points up, the entire process has automatically brought about strengthening of how startups can go on. Besides, the message with higher institutions like IITs and IIMs strongly sends a message that there is a focus on strengthening the higher education and the facilities which the government is willing to provide with the education sector. If you look at Atal Innovation Mission or the startup scheme that is there, which helps in facilitating people in getting legal help in bringing about startups, or the tax exemptions that are given to the startups, especially for 3 years, or when we look at the overall credit guarantee schemes, even in the COVID relief and the others where the focus has been on farm as well as on women and individual people being granted loans, especially many professionals, it does indicate that it is aiming at bringing about indigenous growth in overall manufacturing and others. We have been a service exporting country and we are well known for it. What does lack is manufacturing, and because of the compliances with single portals, if you look at right from the first budget when this government came into power to till date, you will find that many indigenously developed programs have been launched. More focus has been on agriculture, has been on MSMEs, has been on giving credit facilities through Mudra Yojana or through setting up of specific funds. Like for startups itself, there is a 10,000 crore fund which is there, credit guarantee schemes that are there, as well as many other facilities in bringing about easier compliances and improved benefits in terms of opening and closing startups. Also, when somebody makes capital gains in the startups, so that angel investing comes in, that is also benefited. So when you strengthen the structure of the education, which is the higher education, which attracts one of the best talents across the country, I think it is a very strong message that we would like local to become global and vocal in the entire country.
Okay. Let me also quickly get back, Kapil at this point. Kapil, in terms of course, as I told you earlier, for the economy, 2020 has been very difficult, not just the Indian economy, but the global economy. For the Indian economy to rebound and reboot, what really needs to be done in your opinion?
Also a very difficult one to answer because I understand there's a lot of young people talking about it as we speak, but I think there are two or three opportunities clearly. One is for India to be able to identify the competitive advantages, and as Yamini said a while ago around our capabilities in manufacturing, which need to be developed. My sense there will be that India's competitive advantage has in the past, and to this date I think it lies in knowledge economy. We are one of the largest globally, actually, in terms of exporters of knowledge products, be it IT industry, but also other knowledge products. And I think that's where India needs to focus on in the short run. In the long term, certainly, I think manufacturing is one where we need to put our efforts. But a short-term rebound cannot come unless we focus on our competitive strength, which is knowledge economy. So thinking about how do we grow that. So that's one. Two for me, I think is as Ms. Yamini, I think rightly pointed out, the whole focus on SMEs. Much of the domestic demand in India is catered by MSMEs, and they're looking for serving the local large market and consumption-driven economy. It cannot happen unless the SMEs pitch in. So tailored support to SMEs, and that's not just about Mudra loans. And I think the government has actually done a fantastic job with the bank loans, with the Mudra loans, with some of the interest rate subventions and so on. But the idea is now, can we move away from just pure financial support to also provide support in terms of business development or technical advisory and so on. So now working with SMEs or smaller startups, see how can they scale. And that cannot just happen with financial support, but also needs technical assistance and advisory and so on. So that's point number two. I would say these are two things that we need to look at in the short run. In the long run, of course, there are more structural reforms. We're talking about, as someone pointed out, we're talking about manufacturing reforms. We're talking about with less regulations for industries and so on. So I think we need a balance between the two.
Let me take that straight across to Sumit Peer as well. Sumit, in terms of the IIMs as well. Now, this is a new IIM campus today, which the foundation stone of which has been laid by the Prime Minister. Now, we need more institutes and centers of excellence, isn't it? There's a new national education policy which came about last year. And generally, school, college education needs to be transformed because that is a base of a successful population, isn't it? If you equip young students with the right skills, with the right education, that's what develops the leaders of tomorrow. So we surely need more IIMs and IITs and other institutes of excellence. This certainly needs to be a priority, isn't it, Sumit?
I think, Uday, can't agree more with you. I mean, there are two dimensions to PM's speech today. First is what you are absolutely is bang on, because when you have a population of 1.3 billion, you need hundreds of IIMs and hundreds of IITs. Even 20 and 30 were pretty less. Gonna go days of 4 and 4. That won't work. Because these institutions are the churning factories which can churn more and more talent, and that talent goes to the market, to the economy, creates wealth. It's a very simple logic. So we have to have more and more. There's no doubt about it. The Honorable Prime Minister on record has said in every 2 districts we need 1 medical college. So medical colleges are a handful in India now. In every 2 districts we are planning to have 1. So likewise, IITs and IIMs have to increase. Now, Prime Minister also said in this IIM there is a kind of a concept which is a kind of a virtual classroom, wherein it will be focused on working from anywhere, logging in from anywhere, and doing a lot of practical based things. A lot of practical based project work will be a part of this curriculum. He also said the new education policy is based on revamping the old education policy, wherein a lot of practical based and target based learning is brought into the system. Now, Uday, now the bigger point, the bigger message what I draw is very clear. Our job is not to go and run bigger companies, but our job is opportunity management. He repeated this 3 times, and note you, sir, if Prime Minister Modi repeats something 3 times, it means a lot of things. So he came with 2 things. He said when there was COVID, we had nothing. We turned COVID into an opportunity. Today, PPEs, vaccines and ventilators were the exporters. Forget managing the domestic demand. HCQ we supply to 170 countries. Vaccine to the whole world and humanity will be given by India. We are not developing, we are not relying on anything. It's a permanent solution. Then he talked about what you and me know as a child, since a child, was LPG. In 60 years, 55% coverage. In next 6 years, 98% coverage. So means you have improved 10 times and your efficiency has grown up by 1000%. These are the practical examples he said. He said when we looked at it, we looked at pipelines, we looked at shipping, we made 10,000 new dealers, we are putting thousands of crores of pipelines. Then he brought Ujjwala and Prajwala, how they have been blockbusters. Uday, we have covered in NewsX, we are testing missiles by dozens today. Which sphere of life we are not in? PM Wani, game changer, multi-billion-dollar project. Then you have PM's vision on PM Wani. Then we have one more thing, food processing industry. Last PM said the food processing industry only is worth 500 billion and can go to 2 trillion. Now correlate the things. What did he say today? I am building this IIM in Sambalpur because I want Sambalpur to be in the industrial map of India. And your guys' job is, you are the guys who are going to do it. And your job is to make it from local to global. And let it be agriculture, let it be agri-contact, let it be handicrafts, let it be anything. And let it be minerals. We all have the potential to go global. That is what the mandate is. And now you combine it with Prime Minister's vision. That is how he says, 500 billion is this, 1 trillion is this. Now these blockbuster things are being added to the economy. So you have the institution which produces the talent. You already have natural resources. You already have SMEs. Now you need the vision. And now how government has done it, he has given 2 beautiful examples of COVID management and LPG. So saying what was not done in 6 years could be done in 6 years. Even at a government level, having all the shackles and limitations and all those appeals, the leads and audits in place, still we could do it. If we could do it, why can't you do it? Look at me, inspire from me and go and do it. You are the young Indians. You can go to the sky and the moon. We don't want unicorns in one sector. We want unicorns in every sector, right? And we have all the capability to build unicorns in every center. That is what the vision is. Every opportunity should be turned into a unicorn. That is where the simple message is. I will give you what you need. These IIMs and IITs and premium institutions will come everywhere. Education policies will revamp. More practical based learning is got. More opportunities are created. We are doing all the infrastructure, all the yojanas and schemes are in place for you. Come and develop. Take local to global now. That is the job of the guys who have been assigned to do it. And let's not forget, there's a huge billions of dollars which are put in all these institutions. It's not only making them, they're running them costs a lot of money. But it is worth the money. It's the investment what you are making in the youth of the country to make country global. It's a very clear vision. It's not a traditional vision. You graduate from IIM and work for MNC. Those days are gone. Now you graduate from IIM, you build your own MNC. You build the Indian MNC. That is the vision. That is the clarion call. And I'm very sure when the Prime Minister gives a clarion call, we have seen in COVID, vaccine, everywhere, the whole country responses. Whole country responses. He spent 30 minutes talking on it. And his busy schedule, do you think he has nothing better to do? He's he's explaining bit by bit, line by line. This means a lot. This means a lot. I'm very happy for this speech, and I'm very sure the youth of the country and all the entrepreneurs will take the PM's vision, and we will build a numerous unicorns from every nook and corner of India. Not only Delhi, Bangalore, Calcutta, Madras. Har jagah se unicorn banega hota hai. Back to you.
Okay, Sumit, stay with us. Gulrez Sheikh, let me quickly come back across to you. So, Gulrez, now just putting you, in the hot seat because you are in the ruling government, you are in the ruling party. What is your government doing about creating jobs as well? Because that is needed. While yes, entrepreneurs will, if we lead to successful startups, those will also create jobs and will create employment opportunities for others. People need to become job creators and not just job takers. But in terms of Gulrez Sheikh, your government, what is the NDA government doing to create new jobs and to skill Indians and also make them more employable in the near future? Because that's another point that the opposition has been raising about jobs creation and whether you're serious on that or not.
Uday, first of all, we must come out of that Soviet syndrome of a government creating all the jobs and giving jobs to people and distributing everything to the people. And there is no Soviet left, and still the opposition is reclining to that old path, which has been dumped even by Russia, which was the pioneer of that. And we are living in a market-driven capitalist
No, but you have to
economy.
facilitate a right environment
Yes,
for jobs,
and
don't
that's
you?
That's what my Prime Minister is doing. We are creating infrastructure, we are creating institutions, we are providing them funds, we are giving them opportunities. And this country has got talent, and when talent is there, opportunity is there, infrastructure is there, institution is there, automatically these people will create jobs, and they do create jobs. Some days back, I was talking to a very senior journalist there in Israel, and he was telling me that I asked him how your country developed. He told me this is a country of startups. So if tiny Israel can be a country of startups and progress, then why not huge India, the giant India? We can do the same and much better than them.
Okay. Yes, Sumit, you have a quick response.
Uday, I have just two quick points to make, taking a lot of time. Uday, we know one Maruti built what Gurgaon is today. One Anand built one Amul built what Anand is today. There are a lot of such examples. One successful startup, one blockbuster startup or an initiative can build streets, towns, and the economy follows. So this is the right step when he says, let's do the we have to manage opportunities, not the companies. And if people get this message clear, sky is the limit. There will be hundreds of good grounds and hundreds of funds. That's the more part of it.
Okay, Yamini Agarwal, come in here quickly. Yamini Agarwal, on what is needed to be done to create more institutes of excellence in the country. What needs to be done to facilitate revolutionizing the education of our country, Yamini?
I think incentivizing most of the professors, incentivizing the administrative system to develop more innovative means for teaching, as well as giving them a more freer hand to develop pedagogies which may reach out to people, which may reach out to the international levels, as well as try to promote not only institutions that are backed by government, but there are several other private research organizations and institutions which may be given support by the government for incubation or other activities where researchers have actually brought about large number of patents as well as international recognition to the economy.
Okay. Kapil, just quickly coming back across to you at this point, the Prime Minister has also spoken about increasing collaborations. So collaborations between global conglomerates and Indian startups. Now, what needs to be done on that aspect, Kapil? And you can of course weigh in on that question since you're based abroad as well. Obviously, the mantra is go vocal for local, but we need more collaborations between Indian companies and foreign ones, and obviously we need foreign companies to come and invest in India so that more jobs are created through that. And with this anti-China sentiment, perhaps that's something we should tap into right now if we already haven't in the last 6-8 months before.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. A quick maybe plug on the point earlier on what India needs to do to create an enabling environment for startups in the country. I think one big missing gap is India's expenditure on education. I think we spend 4.5% on education in terms of our GDP, which we constantly have been saying we need to raise to 6%, but that's not happened. So since you have someone from the ruling party on the panel, I would pitch for raising that expense on the education as well, and see if we can allocate a larger part of the GDP for education, which will then create more jobs and entrepreneurship opportunities and create a knowledge economy. Coming back to the question on collaboration, I think certainly I don't think looking inwards is something that India needs to do at this point. Any country that's grown past, be it the four Asian tigers or China or even India over the last few years, a lot of the growth comes from exporting services or products to other countries. And I think that's also the way ahead for India. In terms of collaboration opportunities, there are large investor conferences that happen in India. There's a summit that happened that happens every year, the Global Entrepreneurship Summit and so on. But I think the idea now is to take it to the next level, which is can the government of India help entrepreneurs sign MOUs? And it's not just about capital coming in, which has been coming in with the VCs and Ps over the last few years, but also thinking about technology transfer, thinking about real market opportunities, thinking about can Indian companies, for example, list on markets abroad, but can also companies abroad can list on Indian markets and so on. And I think that's the next level of collaboration that India needs to look at. So I think beyond capital, thinking about actual, I would say, actual MOUs, actual markets, actual agreements.
All right. Well, we're out of time. We will have to wrap up at that point. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this special debate.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.